You did not find this message randomly. There are moments in life that feel like simple choices, but beneath the surface, something deeper is guiding us toward exactly what we need to hear. When you felt the urge to pause, click, and listen, it was not just curiosity. It was a quiet inner feeling telling you that there was something here meant for you, something beyond ordinary logic, something your deeper self recognized before your conscious mind could even understand it. The feeling that brought you here is already a sign. It is a reminder that this message is not just another piece of information passing through your life. It is a reflection of something you have already been sensing within yourself. Maybe you have felt it for days, maybe weeks, or maybe during those silent moments when a certain person suddenly comes to your mind and you wonder why their memory still feels so alive. The person you have been thinking about, the one whose name still appears in your thoughts without warning, the one you told yourself you had moved past but somehow still feel connected to, may be moving closer to returning into your life. This is not about creating false hope or imagining something that is not there. It is about recognizing the emotional and unseen shifts that often happen before anything becomes visible in the physical world. Something may already be changing beneath the surface. A process may already be unfolding through timing, emotions, realizations, and circumstances that neither you nor the other person can fully control. Some things cannot be forced. Some connections require space, growth, and moments of understanding before they can find their way back. This is why you are hearing this message now. You are ready to notice what you may have ignored before. You are ready to understand the signs that have appeared around you, the small moments you may have dismissed as random, imagination, or simply your heart trying to hold on. The deeper truth is that some people leave an impact on us that cannot be easily explained. The connection remains because it touched something meaningful within us. The great psychologist Carl Jung explored the hidden parts of human experience and understood that certain encounters are not always ordinary. Some connections shape us, awaken something within us, and continue influencing our inner world even when distance separates two people. Jung introduced the idea of synchronicity, the possibility that certain meaningful events appear at the right moment and carry a deeper significance. He believed that life sometimes communicates through patterns, symbols, dreams, memories, and unexpected moments that seem too meaningful to ignore. When something important is shifting, you may notice signs around you, not because life is trying to confuse you, but because your awareness becomes more open to what is already unfolding. These signs are not meant to trap you in waiting or make you chase something that is not ready. They are meant to help you become aware, grounded, and prepared for whatever comes next. By the time you finish listening, you may begin to recognize the sign that has already appeared in your own life. You may understand why it happened at this particular time and why it affected you so deeply. You may realize that the feelings you have been carrying are not something you need to be ashamed of or hide from others. For a long time, you have carried a quiet knowing inside you, a feeling that exists somewhere between your logical thoughts and your deeper emotions. It appears in the early hours of the morning, in moments of silence, or when everything becomes still after a long and busy day. You have carried this feeling privately because you were afraid of how it might sound if you said it out loud. Maybe you worried that others would tell you that you were only holding on to hope. Maybe you questioned whether you were seeing signs or simply wishing for something to happen. So you kept it hidden inside, protecting it from judgment and doubt. But silence does not erase a feeling. Just because you stopped talking about it does not mean it disappeared. Some emotions remain because they are connected to something deeper within you, and sometimes what your heart quietly recognizes takes time before the outside world can reveal it. You may have stopped looking at their social media, or at least you convinced yourself that you did. Maybe you managed to stay away for a few days, a few weeks, or even longer. Perhaps you removed the app, silenced their updates, or taught yourself not to pause when their name appeared. But even after creating that distance, they never completely disappeared from your thoughts. Not in the way someone disappears when a connection has truly reached its end. They remained like a quiet presence in the background of your life. They were not always on your mind, they did not control every moment of your day, but somehow they never completely faded away. You continued living, you kept moving forward, focusing on yourself, building new habits, creating new memories, and becoming the person you were always meant to become. Then, at the most unexpected times, something would bring them back into your awareness. Their name would suddenly appear in your thoughts. Their face would come to mind without warning. A memory would rise so clearly that for a moment it felt as if they were right there again. You could almost hear their voice, remember their energy, or feel the unique feeling of being around them. And during those moments, you may have questioned yourself. You may have wondered why you still felt this way. You may have asked yourself if you were supposed to be further ahead by now, if something was wrong with you, or if you were somehow failing to let go. But the truth is, you did try to move forward. You told yourself it was time. You took action. You focused on your growth. You filled your days with new experiences, meaningful connections, personal goals, and things that helped you rebuild your life. And all of that was genuine. It was important. It was you choosing yourself and refusing to remain trapped in the past. Yet, if you are completely honest with yourself, there may still be a small part of you that has been quietly waiting. Not from a place of desperation, not from a place where you stopped living your own life, but from a deeper place within you that still felt there was something unfinished. It is like leaving a small light on, even when you do not know if anyone is coming back. It is like keeping a door slightly open, not because you cannot move forward, but because something inside you does not believe the story has reached its final page. And maybe you have judged yourself for feeling that way. Maybe you wondered if waiting made you weak, unrealistic, or unaware of your own value. But it does not. It simply means you recognize that some connections do not follow ordinary rules. Some bonds leave an impression that cannot be explained by time, distance, or circumstances alone. Recently, you may have felt something different, a strange emotional shift that is difficult to describe. Maybe you called it nostalgia, a random mood, or a passing feeling. But deep inside, you noticed something changing. Something felt different, as if life itself was quietly rearranging things beneath the surface. You may have felt it in your body, in the sudden emotions that appear without explanation, in dreams that leave behind a feeling of importance even when you cannot remember the details. You may have noticed certain songs appearing at meaningful moments, repeated patterns, familiar memories returning, or sudden thoughts of this person arriving with an intensity that surprised you. You believed you had accepted their absence. You believed you had made peace with the distance. Yet something inside you continued to feel that there was more to understand. And this is what you need to recognize. What you have been feeling is not simply your imagination creating stories. It is not weakness. It is not a sign that you are unable to move forward. Sometimes our deeper awareness notices emotional shifts before our logical mind has enough evidence to understand them. Your mind may tell you to dismiss these feelings. It may remind you of everything that happened, every painful moment, every reason the connection ended, every piece of evidence suggesting that they have moved on. Your mind wants to protect you, and that instinct is valuable. But logic is not the only form of wisdom you carry. There are deeper parts of yourself that understand experiences your conscious mind cannot always explain. Some people enter our lives and leave us changed. Some encounters transform the way we see ourselves, love, and life itself. As Carl Jung expressed, when two personalities truly connect, they influence each other in ways that create transformation. A meaningful connection leaves a mark on both people. When something powerful happens between two individuals, neither person walks away exactly the same as before. Time does not erase transformation. Distance does not remove the lessons, emotions, and changes created through a powerful bond. Growth continues even after separation. Understanding continues to unfold long after the moment of goodbye. What happened between you was meaningful. It was not insignificant. It was not something that can simply vanish because circumstances changed or because someone became afraid, uncertain, or convinced that leaving was easier. While you have been rebuilding yourself, finding your strength, and returning to your own peace, the other person may have been facing their own inner process. You may not be able to see it from the outside. You may look at their life and assume they are perfectly fine. You may see their updates, hear stories about them, or notice that they appear to be moving forward. But appearances only reveal a small part of someone's reality. Behind the image they show the world, there may be deeper emotions, unanswered questions, and quiet moments of reflection. Sometimes the greatest realizations happen privately, in places no one else can see. And that hidden inner process may be where their true understanding begins. What is happening within them is a process that distractions cannot permanently silence. When they chose to create distance, they believed that space would give them the answers they were looking for. They convinced themselves that stepping away was the right decision. They thought that being alone, having freedom, and escaping the emotional intensity between you would finally allow them to think clearly. They believed that with enough distance, everything would become simple. They imagined they would gain perspective, understand their feelings, and calmly decide whether walking away was truly what they wanted. They expected peace. They expected certainty. They expected that leaving would make everything easier, but distance did not give them the clarity they hoped for. Instead, it brought them face to face with what they were trying to avoid. It created a quiet kind of longing that does not appear dramatically, but slowly enters the empty spaces of life. It showed up in moments when they were alone. It appeared in dreams, in unexpected memories, and in those random moments when something reminded them of you. Your voice, your presence, your energy, and the experiences you shared began returning to them in ways they could not control. They tried to move forward. They tried to convince themselves that what they shared with you could be found somewhere else. They looked for the same feeling in new people, new experiences, and new connections. They searched for someone who could provide comfort without requiring the same level of honesty, emotional depth, and vulnerability that existed between the two of you. But something always felt different. They tried to believe that what happened between you was not unique. They told themselves that another person could make them feel the same way, that another connection could fill the same space, and that eventually everything would feel normal again. But it never truly did. Conversations felt empty. Moments that should have felt exciting lacked the same emotional depth. Even when they were with someone else, a part of them was still searching for the feeling they experienced with you. They compared, they remembered, and they looked for that same sense of connection, but they could not find it. Because what you shared was not something easily replaced. Somewhere inside, they know this. They may not say it openly. They may continue appearing strong and unaffected. But when the distractions disappear and the world becomes quiet, the truth becomes harder to ignore. Late at night, when there is nothing left to hide behind, thoughts of you return. Your name appears in their mind. They replay old conversations. They remember small moments that they once overlooked. They think about your expressions, your words, and the way they felt when they were with you. And then questions begin to surface. Do you still think about them? Have you forgiven them? Do you hate them for leaving? Have you found someone else? Did they lose something that can never be recovered? These thoughts do not simply appear once and disappear. They become a quiet presence in the background of their life. They were the one who walked away, yet they are the ones struggling to escape the emotional weight of that decision. They believed leaving would bring freedom, but instead they found themselves trapped with the memories of what they chose to leave behind. They let go of something valuable because they were afraid, uncertain, overwhelmed, or convinced that separation was the safer path. They expected relief. They expected to feel lighter. They expected that once the connection was gone, they would finally be able to move forward without looking back. But instead, they entered a period of searching. Not searching for something new, but searching for what they lost. Searching for the connection they once had. Searching for a way to understand their own choices. Searching for the possibility that the door they closed has not completely disappeared. Something inside them has recently changed. Maybe it was one specific moment that opened their eyes. Maybe it was a conversation, an experience, or a realization that broke through the walls they had built. Or maybe it happened slowly, as the excuses they created began losing their power over time. Whatever the reason, something shifted. The emotions they pushed away started returning. The truth they avoided became impossible to ignore. And when that awareness arrived, it was not a small realization, it was a powerful moment of recognition. They began to understand that they were not simply missing a person from their past. They were facing the reality that they walked away from something deeply meaningful. They are now being forced to look within themselves. Whether they understand it or not, they are confronting the hidden parts of who they are, the fears they avoided, the patterns that influenced their choices, the emotional defenses they created to protect themselves from being truly vulnerable. This is the process of facing the shadow within. The hidden parts of ourselves, the fears we deny, the wounds we avoid, and the behaviors we refuse to acknowledge often hold the greatest lessons for our growth. True change begins when we stop running from those parts and finally have the courage to face them. That is where they are now. They are meeting the parts of themselves they once tried to escape. They are seeing their fears, their pride, their self-sabotaging habits, and the deep uncertainty they carried about allowing themselves to be fully loved. And through that difficult inner confrontation, they are beginning to understand what they could not see before. In those moments of deep self-reflection, when they are forced to face the truth about themselves, something begins to shift. They stop seeing you through the excuses they created to justify leaving. Instead, they begin to see the real you, the person who understood them, accepted them, and loved them even when they struggled to love themselves. A new kind of courage is slowly building inside them. It is not enough yet to make them call you or reach out immediately, but it is growing stronger. They imagine the conversation, think about what they would say, and wonder how you would react if they admitted they were wrong. But beneath that courage is fear. They fear rejection. They fear you have moved on. They fear they waited too long and lost something they cannot replace. Yet something has changed. The fear that once held them back is no longer stronger than the desire to make things right. Now the question is not only whether they want to return, but whether they can find the right moment and the courage to express what they finally understand. There is also a sign you may have already noticed but dismissed as coincidence. Many meaningful signs do not arrive in dramatic ways. They appear quietly, through small moments that your logical mind can easily explain away, but something deeper inside you notices. For some, the sign appears through repeated numbers or patterns that seem to show up at meaningful times. You may see certain sequences when you are thinking about this person or reflecting on your connection. Whether you see them as signs or simple reminders, they often make you pause and pay attention. For others, the sign comes through music. A song connected to your memories suddenly appears when you least expect it. A melody from a special moment, a shared experience, or a time you thought you had forgotten brings those emotions back instantly. Some people experience these reminders through dreams. You may wake up without remembering every detail, but you remember the feeling of their presence. You remember the closeness, the emotions, and the sense that something meaningful was being expressed without words. Dreams often reveal what our deeper mind is processing. They bring forward feelings, memories, and experiences that still hold importance within us. You may also notice sudden memories appearing during ordinary moments. A conversation, a place, a familiar voice, or a small detail can instantly bring you back to a powerful moment you shared. These memories return because they left an emotional imprint. Sometimes even mutual friends or unexpected conversations bring their name back into your life. The timing feels meaningful because it happens when you were already thinking about them. Whether you view these moments as signs, coincidences, or reminders of a powerful connection, they encourage you to listen to what your inner world has been showing you. When someone unexpectedly mentions their name or you feel reminded of them, it can seem like more than coincidence. Sometimes these moments simply invite you to pause and reflect. You may even notice physical sensations, a feeling in your chest, a wave of warmth, or a quiet, inner knowing that is difficult to explain. Whether you see these experiences as intuition or meaningful reminders, they often feel deeply personal. Carl Jung believed that synchronicity refers to meaningful coincidences that seem connected beyond ordinary logic. These moments may not prove anything, but they can encourage you to pay closer attention to your inner world and the emotions you have been carrying. If you have been noticing repeated signs, familiar songs, vivid dreams, or unexpected memories, let them remind you to stay present rather than become consumed by uncertainty. They may simply be encouraging you to trust your own journey instead of forcing answers before the right time. If this connection is meant to return, it will happen when fear gives way to clarity and when the timing is right. Your task is not to chase, overthink, or constantly search for reassurance. Your task is to continue growing, protecting your peace, and becoming secure in who you are. The strongest energy you can offer is not desperation, but confidence. When you remain grounded in your own worth, you allow life to unfold naturally instead of trying to control every outcome. Most importantly, remember that you always have a choice. If this person returns and your heart welcomes them, that choice is yours. If they return and you realize your path now leads elsewhere, that choice is equally valuable. Your happiness should never depend on someone else's decision. As Jung wisely said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Your greatest strength lies in the person you are becoming today, not in what happened yesterday. If this message reached you at the moment you needed it most, take it as a reminder to trust your own path. Keep moving forward with confidence, protect your peace, and believe that whatever is truly meant for you will arrive at the right time. Nothing that is genuinely yours will pass you by.